Hello guys, Fish767 here. So today we're taking a look at probably the best commander deck that I've ever built, and that is Mikaeus the Unhallowed. And so, I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded in a long time. I just got a new mic, let me know how it sounds, and I'm going to get right into this because I need it to be a short video for uploading purposes. So the important part about Mikaeus is he says, other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and Undying. So I'm going to leave a link to this list in the description on MTG Goldfish. It's $108, 20 of it's for Mikaeus, and then a lot of the other money cards you can actually drop out and lower the price quite a bit. And I'll point out the ones that we really need and the ones that we can drop out. So going through for money cards first, we should keep Viscera Seer. Mer Retriever can be dropped out, it's not important. Ayara, whatever her name is, you really need to keep. Yawgmoth you can throw out. He's just really good because he does everything that we need the deck to do. Workhorse we need, Grim Poppet we need, and I missed one. Triskelion. Where's Triskelion? Oh, Triskelion's not expensive. Okay, never mind. Triskelion's not expensive. Puppeteer Click we need. Moving on, Dread Return, Mastermind's Acquisition are just good, you don't really need them. Alter the Brood you will need, and then all the ramp. So every single artifact you're going to need except for Aetherflux Reservoir, you can get rid of that, and Mind's Eye, you can get rid of that. But the rest of them you need, except for Bolus Citadel. You can get rid of those three, but the rest of them we need because they're the ramp. And 1000-Year Elixir you can actually get rid of too, because it doesn't ramp us, so it's not important. Then through here, Heartless Summoning is just useful, you don't need it, but it does counteract the Mikaeus +1/+1 thing, which is important for our deck because we actually need 0/0s, like the Workhorse, to be able to die if we don't have a sack outlet. And Blowfly Infestation is really important, and so is Cabal Stronghold, so everything else we need. Now I'm going to go through and just show you. So we have a sack outlet on Viscera Seer, and so our cards are either going to be sacrifice outlets, which are important for the combo. They're going to be a card like Chainbreaker, where it resets itself after the Undying because it comes into play with 2 -1/-1 counters on it. When it dies, it'll come back with a +1/+1 counter on it, and then 2 -1/-1 counters, and then one of the -1/-1 counters and the +1/+1 counters, they're going to cancel each other out, so they sort of disappear. I mean, they actually do disappear. And so then he'll end up with 1 on him, and then we can sacrifice him an infinite number of times to buff this as many times as we need, etc. So this guy's got Persist, he does the same thing, and so that's what most of these cards are. And then Araya is one of our win cons because whenever another black creature enters the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and we gain a life, and so Putrid Goblin, which has that's most of our cards. It doesn't work on some of our artifacts here, which is why we have Nest of Scarabs, because when we put a -1/-1 counter on them, we're going to make 1/1 black insect creature tokens, and that's going to trigger Araya. And then we also have Plague Belcher. Whenever another zombie we control dies, each opponent will lose a life, so he also resets himself when he gets sacrificed, and he can have that trigger on him, which is really good. And Newscraft Mob, whenever a player casts a spell, you remove a +1/+1 counter from him, and then you put a 2/2 onto the battlefield, and those are zombies, so it's really good for our deck. And then we have, just other good cards. Now, our other win cons are Alter the Brood, we can mill them out if we get that on the field with one of our combos. Altar of Dementia will mill them out as well by sacrificing a creature. And then Aetherflux Reservoir, Bolus Citadel, Viscera Seer, plus one of these combos is what we're going to do. So this is going to give them Undying, so we do need Mikaeus on the field for every single one of these. But it'll basically just end up working out pretty easily. And so over here we have Dark Privilege to regenerate Mikaeus. It also happens to be sack outlet. This is to reset our creatures. Now, Heartless Summoning is just good because it only affects Mikaeus and Yawgmoth as far as giving them -1/-1, and some of our no, it doesn't affect any of our tokens actually, because Mikaeus counterbalances it. And it's good because it also will drop all these casting costs, so these 3, or these 4 will actually become free, and then everything else will just cost less, so it's a really good card, but we really want it for the -1/-1, and yeah, so that's in general what the deck's sort of going for. I counted them up. There's 10 sack outlets. There's 17 creatures that we can sacrifice, and then they'll come back if Mikaeus is on the field. And then there's 2 win cons that we have because actually one of the sacrifice outlets is a win con. So that adds up to like 479 combos or whatever when you do all the math for it. But then when you factor in this thing as a win con and not a sacrifice outlet, it's down to 300 some. So how it actually ends up working out is there's a little bit like around 500 in here, give or take. Because there's also like the weird ones where we have festering mummy and fume spitter, and then something else on the field, and that goes infinite. And it, there's some weird ones. And then let me see, where's the other card? Because there's another card that works the same way. Oh, this guy. So if we have this on the field, and we have our 1000-year elixir, he actually, where'd it go? It actually goes infinite because we can tap it like it had haste, and then I'll put Maestro counter on it and on another creature, and so it goes infinite with our other things, but that only works if we have the 1000-year elixir on the field. And Cinderhaze Wretch also works if we have 1000-year elixir on the field. Like, this works no matter what, but we're able to do the ability an infinite number of times if we have 1000-year elixir on the field. So, it does really well. The fastest that the deck can win is turn 3, so we have to get a Swamp into a Soul Ring into a Necropede. Or actually, my bad, we want a Swamp into a Soul Ring into an Altar of Dementia. And then the next turn we're going to go Swamp into Thran Dynamo, and then we're going to cast a Tatterkite. Or we could cast Windgirdle Scarecrow, they both work the same way. And then the next turn we're going to go Swamp, cast Mikaeus, and then we win. And so that's because we can sacrifice this, and then it can't have counters placed on it, so the Undying will trigger, but it won't get the +1/+1 counter, and then we can do it again. And then Ashnod's Altar is going to mill them out, so unless they have an Eldrazi Titan in their deck, or Altar of Dementia is going to mill them out. So unless they have an Eldrazi Titan, we win that game. And that's the basic idea of how the deck works. So the fastest it can win is turn 3. I've actually had it do a turn 4 online where I got Putrid Goblin, Mikaeus, and it must have been Bloodthorn Vampire, but it was something like this, and I got that to work out on turn 4. It swung for 42 damage, so that was pretty nice. And it'll generally win as soon as Mikaeus hits the field. Like, every single hand, you should be able to win with it if Mikaeus hits the field. If not, you should probably consider taking a mulligan, especially if you have a free one, because you want to be able to hit the combo as soon as Mikaeus hits the field. And it's really easy to pull off. One quick thing, because Triskelion works just with Mikaeus, but you have to know how to play it. So it'll come down with 3, so we take 1 off and hit our opponent, and then it's a 4/4 with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So we're going to remove the other 2 to deal it 2 damage to itself, which is going to kill it. And it's going to come back with 4 counters. We're going to remove 2 to hit our opponent for 2, and then we're going to remove 2 to hit it for 2, and we're going to keep on doing that. And so that's how Triskelion works. Workhorse makes infinite mana, infinite colorless mana. Grim Puppet kills everything on the field if we have a sack outlet. And Pentavis plus Ashnod's Altar makes infinite 1/1s, and then we can get this guy infinitely big too if we want. So that's the basic idea of the deck. Brain Spoil and Shred Memory are actually in here for Transmute, but they can do their thing. And the probably best card in the deck is, believe it or not, it's a 4-drop. Maybe. I want to point this out because it's really good. It's Soul Stinger. He's actually the best card in the deck because he resets himself, and then when you sacrifice it, you may put a -1/-1 counter on another creature. And so because of that, we can hit all of our opponent's things with him on the board, and we can just kill them all off. And he'll reset every single time, and then we can just dump other, -1/-1 stuff on him from maybe Blowfly Infestation. We just put it on Soul Stinger, and then it can sit there, and it still has value. Like that -1/-1 counter we're saving up for later. But it doesn't hinder our plan right away, so he's actually the best card in the deck, and then Skinrender right after that, because he's really good. So we have a lot of ways to just kill off all of our opponent's stuff with -1/-1 counters, if we ever need to, which we probably will, maybe, sometimes. But yeah, that's how the deck works. So as you can see, there's not much, actual interaction. There's only Brain Spoil and Shred Memory. Those are our only interaction cards in here. But the creatures themselves have interaction, which is what lets us play a deck as bold as this one. And so far, it's had really good results. Now, if Mikaeus gets countered or killed, you might want to, if you have access to Dread Return, just put them in the graveyard, then cast Dread Return, and if they counter the Dread Return, flash it back and try to do that. But if Mikaeus gets killed off too many times, you're going to have a really big problem winning, and that's why we have Cabal Stronghold and some of these other cards. And it is, technically speaking, still possible to win, even if Mikaeus is dead, because we can, like, we have a lot of ways to just do all this -1/-1 counter manipulation and everything, so the deck is still strong if Mikaeus is out of the picture. However, if you find that your Mikaeus is dying too many times, consider adding in Reassembling Skeleton, Sifter of Skulls, and Pitiless Plunderer, and just take out like Festering Mummy, Fume Spitter, and maybe, oh, what would be a good one? Just take out Shambling Storm 2. And the cards that you're putting in are an infinite combo with any sack outlet, because what it's going to do is you're going to sacrifice the Reassembling Skeleton, you're going to make an Eldrazi Scion and a treasure, and then you're going to sacrifice the Eldrazi Scion for mana, and then you're going to make another treasure, and then you're going to sacrifice the treasure for black, and you're going to pay the colorless and the black that you have in your mana pool to bring back Reassembling Skeleton from the graveyard, and you still have a treasure on the field. And so you can make infinite black mana with it, or infinite colorless mana and infinite 1/1s, so you can make infinite of everything. And you get infinite sacrifice triggers, and so that can work without Mikaeus. It's just a little bit harder to set up, but it'll work without Mikaeus, and so if you find that Mikaeus is dying too much, you might just put that combo in here. People, they'll be able to see it coming, but if you have the skeleton in the graveyard and some other cards on top of it, from like, you know, just the game going on, they might not realize that you can combo off and you might sneak it in, you know? So, this is a really good deck though, probably the best one that I've ever built. And it's only $108 and you can knock that down by taking out the cards that I mentioned. They're just in here because they help. And in general, you actually don't need Aetherflux Reservoir. Before I had a Bloodthrone Vampire, and if you can't afford him, you can just do Zulaport Cutthroat, but be careful with Heartless summoning Zulaport Cutthroat because he's a human. But you can just put that in, and it does the same thing, basically, but I didn't want to have to kill them in order to gain their life. I wanted to be able to play my entire deck, just for test runs to see how it played if the entire deck ended up on the field. So it was pretty nice, plus I need Aetherflux Reservoir for a Storm deck that I'm going to build later. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. There's going to be a link to the Discord in the description. I've been working really hard on it, so it would be incredible if you guys went to join there. It's also the easiest way to get in touch with me, because YouTube, I don't always get the notifications right away, whereas Discord I will, especially if you DM me or do an at me, you know. So if you mention me, it'll be the easiest way. And there's like even a channel there for deck ideas if you want to do that, and that's probably going to be better than just putting it in a YouTube comment. And yeah, I think that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time.